All right, so next we're going to come to testes and ovaries, the genital organ, so the gonads. So testis has two types of tissue: seminiferous tissue and the interstitial tissue. So the seminiferous tissue and the interstitial tissue, that's interstitial cells or Leydig cells. Okay, and the interstitial cells or Leydig cells secrete androgens. Okay, so that's important. So all right, I kind of didn't tell you what the GAMT was, right? Okay, so this is a GAMT of candle in a cup, in a candle holder. So you have a candle holder here, which probably the heat is going to melt at the top, and then you have a candle on top with the wax melted here. The smoke coming out of the candle tip. Okay, so that is the GAMT we're going to go for the testis. So you're going to read about testis later as well, but this gives you kind of a cross idea. So seminiferous tubules, though the serrated top part of the candle holder resembles the letter S, stands for seminiferous tubules. Okay, so so the test has seminiferous tubules and also has the size of this candle holder represents I or L. So stands for interstitial cells or Leydig cells, both the same type of cell. So there are two types of cells, seminiferous tubules, which helps in the production of sperms. Interstitial cells or Leydig cells form the part of the endocrine organ which secretes androgens. So both of them secretes kind of letter A here, androgens. Okay. Now keeps going to the top. Not sure why. Okay. So then the candle, coming to the candle itself, so you see the molted wax here. So that stands for M, letter M, which stands for the male accessory sex organs and male secondary sexual characteristics, which includes facial hair, axillary hair, increase in size of your testis, epididymis, vas deferens, urethra, hoarseness of voice, aggressiveness. All these are caused by the androgens. Okay, so the male secondary sexual characteristics, male accessory sex organs are all being stimulated or all being caused by androgens secreted by the interstitial cells or Leydig cells. The A, which is the outline of the candle, stands for anabolic effect. So the androgens has an anabolic effect in the body. It increases the growth of the body, increases the growth of the muscles. So you can see a lot of anabolic steroids which is being used by athletes to increase the stamina, endurance, and the muscle build. So it has a big anabolic effect. The androgens have a big anabolic effect in the body. It also plays a role in the libido. So people who have low androgen levels can have low libido, and also helps in spermatogenesis. Okay, so this is stands for libido, and the smoke stands for the S, stands for spermatogenesis. So those are the main things that you need to remember from the testis point of view and the endocrine side of things. Seminiferous tubules and interstitials and Leydig cells, they secrete androgens. The androgens helps in the male secondary development of male secondary sexual characters, male accessory sex organs. Also has an anabolic effect in the body, plays a role in the libido and also spermatogenesis. Okay, it's coming to the ovaries. The ovaries secretes two types of hormones. So this is a lamp. Okay, so this is the junction of the lamp where you can actually bend the lamp. This is the foot of the lamp. This is the lamp itself. You have a bulb inside, and then the light is coming out. Okay, so this is the GAMT we're going to use for ovaries. Ovaries, so it secretes two types of hormones. It has progesterone, the bulb, it's letter P. It also has the light coming out, which stands for the letter E. Okay, let's go up again. Stands for the letter E. So the ovary secretes two hormones, progesterone and estrogen. So estrogen is secreted by the ovarian follicles. The progesterone is secreted by C and L, corpus luteum. Okay, so corpus luteum secretes progesterone, and the ovarian follicles secretes estrogen. So this is the two hormones. That's all you need to remember from the number of hormones produced by the ovaries. So the estrogens, similar to androgens, testosterone, helps in the secondary sexual characteristic development in females and also mammary gland development. In terms of the progesterone, it's also called pregnancy hormone. So this is P. It also has in development of breast alveolar development and milk production. Okay, As you see, both the estrogen and the progesterone help in the mammary gland development. Progesterone specifically leads to alveolar development and milk production, so it kind of contributes to the secretory part of the mammary glands. Okay, so progesterone is also called pregnancy hormone, which means that it actually helps to continue or maintain pregnancy. So when ovum, okay, releases a ovary is released, okay, the tissue forms what is called corpus luteum. Okay, if the ovary is fertilized, this corpus luteum develops further. If the ovary is not fertilized, this corpus becomes hard, start producing progesterone. That brings the end of the menstrual cycle. So we're going to see that in the human reproduction chapter again. But it's important to understand that the source of estrogen, source of progesterone is very important. The estrogen is from the ovarian follicles. The progesterone is from corpus luteum. Okay, corpus luteum. Progesterone is the pregnancy hormone and also helps in the development of breast tissue. Estrogen also helps in the development of secondary sexual characters in mammary gland development. Okay. I didn't mention any GAMT for secondary sexual characteristics for estrogen because it's kind of a little bit obvious, similar to androgens. Okay. So there are other hormones. Now they're all just one line, so you just have to remember, can easily remember this. So even if you just look at this video once again, you will recollect very easily. So the heart produces. So there are a lot of other endocrine chemicals, other hormones produced in other places as well. So heart produces something called atrial natriuretic peptide. Okay, so which helps in the reduction of blood pressure. So when the blood pressure is high, it stretches above the atrium and it produces atrial natriuretic peptide. Basically, what it does is reduces the blood pressure and increases diuresis. Okay, juxtaglomerular apparatus, which is found in the kidneys, produces what is called erythropoietin. Erythropoietin, as the name implies, increases the generation of erythrocytes or RBCs. Again, it's a very important MCQ question. Okay, so the GIT secretes a few hormones that acts locally. The first one is gastrin. So the gastrin increases gastric acid secretion. Gastric acid, you can remember. Gastrin inhibitory peptide, again, as the name suggests, it reduces gastric acid secretion and motility. So inhibitory peptide. So these two are pretty obvious. The next is important for you to remember secretin. Secretin has nothing to do with stomach. It has everything to do with exocrine pancreatic secretion. Secretin increases pancreatic secretion. Okay. Gastrin increases gastric secretion, secretin increases pancreatic secretion. It's important to remember this. Okay. Cholecystokinin increases gallbladder and pancreatic secretions again. So both secretin and cholecystokinin both increase the secretions. Okay, hope it's all clear. So you have heart, which secretes atrial natriuretic peptide, it reduces blood pressure. You have juxtaglomerular apparatus secreting erythropoietin, which increases RBC production. You have GIT secreting gastrin inhibitory peptide, secreting, and cholecystokinin. Okay, right. So these are the other hormones produced. So the last segment of this chapter is the mechanism of action. So before we go into the mechanism of action, so we're going to look at the 4 different categories of hormones. Again, this has been asked multiple times in the previous year question, so just pay very close attention. So what I have here is GAMT for bookshelf. Okay, so again, it's all office space themes, right? So you have 2 shelves and a lot of books here, and here. And you have the floor of the book. Because it's so heavy, it's a bit wobbly. The floor is not straight. So a lot of things in this office are not straight. You know, the table on the top of the table, the bottom of the chair, they're all very wobbly. You know, not a great office, to be honest. Okay, so we're going to use this bookshelf for us to remember the different categories of hormones. Okay, so the bookshelves, the top, see the outline of the bookshelf, this and this constitutes letter A and A, which stands for amino acids. The first type of hormones is amino acids. So the hormones that come under amino acids are epinephrine, norepinephrine, all the hormones secreted by the adrenal medulla. Okay, if you don't remember that, I'll go back to this adrenal medulla thing again. So this is the adrenal medullary hormone, the flight response. Hope you can see the GAMT and remember all the actions. So those are all amino acid hormones. Okay, and then all these books, individual books, resembles letter I, so it's iodothyronins. As the name suggests, these thyroxine falls under this category. So iodothyronins, that's the second group of hormones. Third groups are proteins and peptide derivatives. This forms the majority of all the hormones that's produced. All the majority of the hormones come under the protein or the peptide derivatives. Okay, and then you have the floor, which is the letter S, stands for steroid hormones. Usually they're produced by the adrenal cortex and also by the gonads. Okay, now if you look at the mechanism of action, right, so these are the four groups of hormones. Amino acid derivatives, which is catecholamines, and you have iodothyronins, which is thyroxine, and then you have polypeptide and protein molecules, which are most of the hormones, and then you have the steroids, which is secreted by the adrenal cortex and the gonads. Okay, so how do they react? How do they act on the cell? So the amino acids and the protein and peptides, so you can actually see it's kind of alternate. The top, the middle act in one way, and the remaining two act in the other way. So what do I mean by that? The amino acids and the proteins and peptides have cell wall receptors, and so which means that these hormones cannot penetrate into the cell. So they're secreted by the gland, they carried it in the bloodstream, and then when they reach the target organ, they cannot penetrate the cell, but instead they interact with the cell wall receptors. And then by using the second messenger system, which is CAMP, calcium, and all these second messengers, it brings about the necessary change that's needed, right? Whereas when you look at the iodothyronins and steroid hormones, okay, these two hormones, they have intracellular receptors. Sometimes the receptors is directly in the nucleus, so they actually act by integrating into the nucleus and stimulating the gene synthesis or protein synthesis. So this is an example of a steroid hormone or iodothyronin. They both have intracellular receptors and they go directly into the nucleus and causes translation of proteins. That's how they work. Whereas you have protein hormones and you have amino acid hormones, which have receptors on the wall of the cell, and then they generate a response. It creates the second messenger cyclic AMP or calcium, which brings about the biological biochemical response. Okay. All right. So that kind of completes the chapter now.